with the rest of the week, we've been focusing on contentment. And the Yoga Sutras, I like to come back to this writing that's in the Yoga Sutras on contentment, because it's really simple and basic, but it's a good reminder that contentment is a choice, that it's really easy to have judgment on where we are. And as we get into some core work today and some of the work today, anytime you have to work a little bit, judgment tends to happen. That's human nature. But then we get to remind ourselves of the fact that we can choose to be content with the work, and contentment, according to the Yoga Sutras, is how supreme joy is gained. So by choosing contentment, we are also choosing joy. And that ultimately is choosing peace in situations that sometimes can feel not so peaceful. So as we come to a comfortable seat for a moment to settle into our breath and to tune into what's happening in our bodies without any judgment, we have that opportunity to set an intention of contentment. So rest hands, let your shoulders lift up and back, take a moment to move through your head and your neck, giving yourself the information of whatever is going on for you right now. With your eyes closed, take a moment to set that intention, to choose contentment even when it's difficult. Couple more breaths, breathing in this idea of contentment. And hands connect at heart center. And as you gently press palms together, lift your shoulders up and back. Lengthen the back of your neck. And on your exhale, bow towards your heart. Full big breath, honoring yourself for taking the time to check in. And softly opening your eyes, releasing your hands down. And now we're going to come down onto our backs. And again, make sure that you have whatever it is that you're going to use in between your legs to hug. But for now, set footprints on the ground, come all the way down onto your back, set your elbows onto the ground, and think about bringing them a little bit away from your sides. Walk your shoulder blades toward each other. And then take a moment to tilt your pelvis up and down. And as you tilt your pelvis up and down, just notice the movement that happens through other parts of your body. Notice the low back lift and then lower. Notice the sitting bones and the tilting up and the tilting down. And then come to that place where you tilt your sitting bones down, your belly lifts a little bit, you have that space underneath your low back. And now take your hands to your belly, and as you take a big exhale, you're gonna hug in with your belly without dropping your low back down. So you're doing a little core work, maintaining that lumbar curve. Draw your low ribs into the ground, even as you keep a lumbar curve. There's space there that maybe you could even put your hand behind. Keep that engagement and lift your legs up to 90 degrees. Reach your arms straight up over your shoulders. Maintaining that lumbar curve, tone your belly, draw your low ribs in. And now try to keep that same curve as you start to reach your legs a little bit away from you, reach your arms overhead. Low ribs are in, lumbar curve is happening. Now draw your legs and your arms back. And then one more time, reach your legs, reach your arms. Don't let the lumbar curve leave. Push your low ribs down, and then draw your arms and your legs back. And now hug your knees into your chest, rock a little side to side, and allow for the movement of your low back to happen here. For me, when I rock side to side, I imagine that I'm lifting one side and moving it forward, lifting the other side and moving it forward. So it's like you're walking your low back. And now set footprints on the ground. Arms can open to a T or wherever is comfortable, palms up. Feet come wider than your mat, and then drop your knees side to side, coming into some windshield wipers here, enabling yourself to work through some of that hip stuff, get a little thigh stretch, work through some low back movements, that pocket muscle called the TFL, or the tensor fasciae lata. We get to do a little bit of stretching here, movement. And now come back up to center here, pull your knees into your chest and do big rocks. So now you're maybe using your elbows as bumpers to push yourself back up. And now grab whatever you're using for a prop. It can be a block, it might be one of those semi-deflated balls, it might be a pillow for in between your legs. So think about in between your thighs. Knees come to 90 degrees, and then squeeze into your prop. Find the tilt of your pelvis so that your sitting bones are moving down. You have that lift of your lumbar spine, and then hug in. So squeeze in with your low belly, and even think of cinching around your core. So you're hugging in, not pushing your low back down. Low ribs draw down. Now take your hands to your thighs and push. And as you push, you get to push as hard as you need to create some work. Maybe you push so hard that you wouldn't be able to speak. Maybe you push just a little bit to create a little work. But the idea is that you're allowing that hug in around your core so much that you're maintaining the curves to your spine. Full big breath. And then release. Draw knees into your chest. We're going to use that prop again. If you took it out to hug your knees in, that's okay. Rock side to side. And now back to a neutral, or back to a 90-degree place with your legs. Draw your prop in between. And now from this place, create that tilt of your pelvis, lumbar curve, and then engage. That includes drawing the low ribs in, open arms to a T. You're gluing your shoulders to the ground and draw legs over to the right side so that they are hovering off the ground. Your left shoulder is on the ground. Engage through the core. Even think of drawing your low ribs in. Take a full breath and squeeze into your prop. And now legs over to the left side. Same thing, right shoulder glues down, hug your prop, engage around the core, low ribs draw in, big breath. Inhale, come back into center and release the prop. Legs reach through your heels. And now your hands can always hold on to the back sides of your legs here, or you can let your arms rest. But flex and point your legs, doing a little bit of movement and stretch through calves and through shins. And then a little circular motion with your feet. Circling through the ankles, and then circle the other way. And now hug your right knee into your chest, and then lengthen your left leg out so it's hovering above the ground. From this place, find the lumbar curve, tilting your pelvis so your low back is lifting. Low ribs press into the ground, and now you can add, if you would like to, lifting from your low ribs to lift your torso or your chest toward your knee. Again, try to keep the lumbar curve. That's tricky in this position, but see if you can tilt your pelvis so that your lumbar curve is there, and then switch legs. Same thing, find the tilt of your pelvis. Low ribs press down as you lift your chest, and then switch legs. Now, as you find that lumbar curve, again, it's tricky in this position. Go ahead and switch legs. Take a full breath and try to engage the low belly without pressing the low back down. And switch legs one more time on each side. Engage through the core, keeping the lumbar curve. And switch legs. Full big breath, engaging through low belly and low ribs. And then back into center, set feet down, set your shoulders down. Again, walk your feet wider than your mat and take a couple of movements here, side to side with your knees. Windshield wiper again. Getting that thigh stretch. Maybe a little stretch through the glutes. Little movement through the low back. Ultimately, this is known to be a little reset of the nervous system. And then roll over to one side, push yourself up to your hands and knees. Just for a moment to set yourself up, wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. Rotate elbow pits forward and push, expanding into the upper back. And then lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog pose. Take a big deep breath. Feel free to pedal out, slowly bending one knee at a time, letting the backs of legs get a little bit more length and stretch. Letting hips and low back have a little bit of movement. Shoulders stay stationary and broad. Rise to tiptoes now, tilting sitting bones up. And then walk your way forward, coming into your forward fold at the front of your mat. Take an inhale and lengthen part way. Lengthening through your spine. Exhale, fold over your legs. Hands to hips, press back on hips. Lift up and open through shoulders and then rise. Coming all the way up to stand. Find feet inner hip distance apart and parallel. And lift and spread your toes and then set them down, root them. Inhale, stretch up overhead. And exhale, hands come to heart center. Gaze at the fingertips. Close your eyes if you want to, or keep that soft gaze. Take a full breath. Resetting our intention of contentment. Inhale, stretch up overhead. Exhale, bent knees to fold. Inhale, lengthen part way. Exhale and fold. Planting fingertips, you're welcome to use props here if you would like. Step your right foot back into your lunge. Push down with your feet to bring your hands up to your hips. Center with your hips. Press down onto your hips and lift your chest, lift your heart, and then engage, low belly, low ribs. Hands come behind to clasp here if that's in your practice. Pressing palms together, your shoulders are up and back. Keep engaging through the core. Keep a bend to your elbows. As much as you might want to lock elbows out and lock wrists out, let's save our joints here. Take a deep breath. And now exhale, both hands come down to the front of your mat. Step back either to hands and knees or down dog, your choice. Take a big deep breath. Rotate elbow pits forward and push from lats out through your hands. Bend your knees and send your sitting bones up. With that, you now have a lumbar curve as you send your sitting bones up. Engage the low belly and the low ribs. Inhale, come forward to plank. If you want to bring knees down, that's entirely optional and sometimes just what's better for the body. So choose what's right for you. Extend your front. Rotate elbow pits forward and push again. Bend elbows and lower down. Inhale, curl up and open to whatever height cobra is in your practice. But think about that broad front of the chest, broad tops of shoulders, shoulder blades engaging on the back. Take another big breath, and with your exhale, engage low belly and low ribs. Inhale, shoulders up and back. Exhale, downward facing dog pose. Take a big breath. And walking forward, come to your forward fold at the front of your mat, taking as many steps as you need. Take an inhale and lengthen part way. Exhale and fold over your legs. Plant fingertips. It's your left foot that steps back this time into your lunge. Push with your feet. And then bring your hands up to your hips. Center with your hips here. And then as you begin to lift through your sides, lift your ribs, open up through your chest, support your back body. Low belly, low ribs engage. Hands come behind to clasp. Take a big deep breath. Remember, soft through the joints. Lift shoulders up and back. Take a full breath. On your exhale, hands come down to the front of your mat. Step back into your plank pose. And again, knees are optional. Rotate elbow pits forward and push. Extend your front. Stay strong through your back body. Take a deep breath. Head is lifted to the back plane of your body. And as you exhale, bend elbows lower down. Inhale, curl up and open into whatever height cobra you need. Engage through the core to support your back. Exhale, downward facing dog pose or hands and knees, your choice. Big breath. Stepping forward, coming into your forward fold, take as many steps as you need. Take an inhale and lengthen partway. Exhale and fold over your legs. Hands to hips. Press back on hips, lift up and open through shoulders with bent knees. Inhale, rise. As you come up to stand, find feet inner hip distance apart and parallel. And now find whatever you're using for a prop in between your legs. You're going to squeeze in with the muscles of your legs, keep a bend to your knees, and then think about that rotation of your inner thighs. So think of moving inner thighs in, back, and broad, so your sitting bones move back. From this place, push down into the floor from glutes. Lift your chest, lift your heart, and then engage low belly, low ribs. Inhale, stretch up overhead, and then rise up to tiptoes, squeezing into your prop. Take a big breath, engaging through the core, broad through shoulders, long back of your neck. Full, big, deep inhale and exhale. And exhale, slowly lower your heels back down. Release your arms back down. You can take your prop out. Inhale, stretch arms overhead. Exhale, bend knees to fold. Inhale, lengthen part way. Exhale, fold. Feel free to grab blocks for under hands or whatever you have. Let your torso lift a little ways. Send your sitting bones up. Keep sitting bones lifting even as you pedal out with your legs, bending one knee at a time. And now plant fingertips and you're stepping right foot back into your lunge. Push with your feet and rise all the way back up into that lifted lunge. Center with your hips. Think of wrapping your left hip back and down. Push with your back toes and lift your upper thigh. Good. Now hands come behind to clasp. And if clasping is tough for you today, maybe shoulders are tight, then fists at the low back are always an option here. We're going to take our humble variation of this pose. And it's humbling because we're not taking warrior two stance with our legs. So you have more of a balance that you have to create, which helps us to engage into the core. So with either hands clasped or fists at the low back, lift your front, engage your low belly and your low ribs. Exhale, hinge at the hips and fold towards your front leg. You might set your shoulder right down on your thigh, or you might bring shoulders to the inside of your front leg. Wrapping the left glute down and under so that your hips are not swaying out to the left. Maybe you lift your arms. Maybe you keep them against your back. Maybe you release your hands entirely. That's okay too. Take a big breath wherever that is. Remember, soft on the joints if your hands are clasped. Plant hands and step all the way back. Either downward dog or hands and knees, your choice. Take a deep breath. Inhale, come forward to your plank. So if you're on hands and knees, walk your knees back behind your hips. Push with your hands, lengthen your front. Exhale, bend elbows and lower. Inhale, curl open, take your cobra, whatever variation that is for you. But find broadening through shoulders. Find the engagement through the core. Then exhale, either hands and knees or down dog. And then step forward, coming into your forward fold. Pause and reset here. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale to fold. Then plant fingertips. Step your left foot back into your lunge. Root with your feet and rise up with hands to hips first. Center with your hips and think of that wrapping action of your right glute down and under. Push your back toes and let your back upper thigh lift. So your hips are evening out a little bit. From there, remember, hands either clasp or make fists at the low back. Either one works. Lift your shoulders up and back. Engage your core. Exhale, hinge from the hips. Fold towards your front leg. You might set your shoulder down. You might bring your torso to the inside. But wherever that is, wrap your right glute down and under. Maybe lift your hands away from your back. Maybe keep them right against your back. Take a big breath. Remember, because our back foot, our toes are tucked under, this turns into more of a balance. Then release your hands down and settle back onto hands and knees this time. You can always find your seated position for a forward fold or come all the way to your child's pose, hips to heels. Take a big breath as you settle your head down. Maybe find a little bit of movement here through hips and sides. And then gently push yourself up to a seat. Come all the way down to sitting bones. And footprints to the ground, lower onto your back. From your back, your knees pull in. Take a couple big breaths as you rock knees side to side. And now this time, we're going to take that same tick-tock with our legs from one side to the other. You have your choice of coming to a tabletop with your legs with knees bent, or lengthening your legs, or you can do one leg, okay? The other option is to put a block or a pillow or whatever you're using in between your legs to squeeze into. Your choice. Arms open to a T or to cactus. Our shoulders stay planted. Pause here and find that tilt to your pelvis so your sitting bones are moving down. Engage your core. Cinch in around your core, letting your low ribs push down, but keep the lumbar curve. Now, keep left shoulder down as you draw your legs over to the right side to hover. Find that place of hovering where the left shoulder can stay down. Strong core. Take a big breath. Inhale back up to center. And exhale over to the left side as your right shoulder stays planted. Hug in with the muscles of your legs. Keep an engagement in the core. Low ribs drawing in helps here, but think of the low belly helping as well. From the core, draw back up, and we're going to take one side at a time again. So over to the right, low ribs draw in, engage the low belly, hug the legs. Whatever variation you're taking with the legs, glue the left shoulder down, and then come all the way back up, and then over to the left. Same thing, hug in with the muscles of the legs, engage around the core. Full big breath. Right shoulder is planted. Inhale back up to center. Knees hug in, rock side to side. And now legs extend, and this time a little bit more of that restorative action. Flex and point your feet. You can hold on here to your legs if you want, or let your arms rest. Then circular motion with your feet. And circle the other way. And now bend your knees and set your footprints down. And then we'll take the psoas stretch here in a restorative pose. So grab whatever prop you're using, whether it's a pillow, a bolster, a stack of something, whatever you need. Footprints to the floor, lift your hips and slip your prop underneath your hips so that your hips can rest, your sacrum can rest. And then from that place, if it feels good, you can always lengthen your legs out or lengthen your arms overhead, getting longer through the front body. But if it bothers your hips, your low back, or anything, then bend your knees again. Come to whatever variation feels the best on your body. Take a deep breath. You can stay right where you are, or you can cross left ankle over your right knee for a figure 4 here. And again, stay right here, or you can pick your legs up towards your torso and get a little bit more stretch through the glutes, a little bit more hip stretch. If you'd like to add lengthening the right leg, adding a calf stretch here, you're welcome to. And then if you have that figure 4, feel free to bend your right knee and set your foot back down, and then set your left foot down and switch legs. Right ankle over your left knee. Pick legs up if you want to. Lengthen your left leg if you would like. And bending your knee and setting both feet on the ground. And from this place, lift your hips and slip your prop out from underneath. You can always slip your prop right down underneath your legs here if that feels the best to you. And we'll start to find our most comfortable resting pose. So begin to set yourself up for your Shavasana, however that looks for you. Remembering that Shavasana gets to be restful, easeful, where we let go of all the work. Start to find that place for yourself. And let your breath be your tool for softly checking in. Begin to take a deeper breath. And gently add movement into fingers and into toes. And as you slowly bend your knees and roll to one side, pause for a moment and reset that intention for contentment. And press yourself gently back up to a seat. Hands connect at your heart. And as you close your eyes, take another full breath. Have a very peaceful, very beautiful day. Namaste. Thanks, everybody.